Hello and welcome to Crafting with Mermaid Tears. Congratulations on receiving your September box. I'm looking forward to walking you through the craft. This month we are going to be doing a Dreamcatcher. In your kit this time I've actually included for you the images of how to make the Dreamcatcher just in case you want to refer back to them at any point in the video. And of course you have all of your materials here, and let's get ready to craft. So you're going to unravel your leather that you've gotten in there, and you'll notice that there is a bunch of different pieces. The piece that we're going to be working with first is the long one. It's a little bit thinner than the other pieces, and that's the piece that we're going to be attaching to the hoop. You can leave it loose if you want and just kind of hold it in place as you wrap, or you can tie a knot to hold it into place. But even with the knot, I find it tends to slip a little bit down the hoop. So on your plastic bag, I did include a little piece of double-sided tape that you can use. So you can either use the whole piece or just cut yourself a little end of it off. Place that on your hoop, take the tape off, and once that's in place, then you can use it to hold your ribbon. If you have a hard time getting it to stick on the metal, you can roll it on your fingers first and then put it on. It should come off fairly easily, but you never know. So with my tape now in place, I'm just going to take my ribbon and leave a really small tail, and I'm going to start following it around the loop until I have the whole silver loop covered. So when I'm wrapping the loop, I'm kind of just doing it really quickly through and leaving these spaces. And I'm just doing that because I find it goes faster than trying to line it all up. And once I have a row of them, I just push them to meet the other ones and then pull, and it tightens them nicely and flattens them out. But you can certainly just do them nicely and tightly to begin with right at the side. I just find it goes so much quicker to just do it. So once I'm nearly done, it doesn't look like the kit included enough wire to cover it, or enough leather to cover the wire completely, so I'm just going to go and space it out a little bit. Not too much, just enough that I can get my wire, or my leather, to go all the way around the wire here. So I'm going to take another little piece of my double-sided tape, and I'm going to glue my other end down, and then I will space out my leather again a little bit and be ready to move on to the next step. Now I'm going to take my two little tails and I am going to tie them into a knot because the double-sided tape is not going to be strong enough, unfortunately, to hold it all into place. So I'm just tying them together in a little knot here. Alright, so with my spacing of my hoop set, I'm going to start with my white ribbon now. And they have it going through the needle that was provided. I'm not going to bother with the use of the needle. I'm going to just do it with my fingers. It doesn't make much of a difference how you use it. And what you're going to do is start by tying it into place at the top, and then you're going to wind it around. I'll show you, and you want to do it like the face of a clock, so one at approximately 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and so on. So I'm going to take my white piece and I'm going to tie it roughly where my last knot was, and I'm going to bring it underneath my hoop at about 1 o'clock. And then I'm going to go through my hoop. So I've done a little loop-de-loo there, and I'm going to tighten it at around 1 o'clock. And then I'm going to go now and do the same thing, going over my loop, under at around the 2 o'clock mark. And again, I'm going to keep doing that all the way around until I have the face of a clock. To my 12 o'clock, and I'm going to do the same thing where I go over, under, and then I'm going to go over to my next one and go over, under as well. So what I'm doing is I'm going over, under, and through. If that makes any sense. So you're taking it, you're going over it, under it, and then you're going to go kind of through where that space is. Right there, all the way around. You want to try and make sure that you're staying in the middle of your piece of string when you're doing it. So now I've made my way back to the beginning. I'm going to add a bead. Instead of a bead though, I have included some sea glass for you. So I'm actually going to add one of my pieces of sea glass instead of the bead. But if you wanted to make it with the beads and save your drilled sea glass for something else, you certainly can. So I'm just taking my bead and I'm sliding the rope right through it. So with the bead on in place, I'm going to just leave it to hang. You don't want to put, I mean, I guess you can push it right to the middle. I'm just going to kind of leave mine loose in the middle. There's different theories about the beads. I included that a little bit in your letter. Some say it is the good dreams that did not make it through the web, and so they're there and they can keep watching over you and drain back. Some of them just traditionally do the one in the middle, which is to represent the spider that catches the dreams. So it all depends on what you want to do with yours, whether you want to put beads around it or whether you or sea glass around it, or whether you just want to save one from the middle. And then you're just going to continue to do where you go around it, over, under, and through. And you're going to keep doing that for another layer, and you can add another piece of sea glass a little bit lower down if you want, or maybe you want to do it in another row and just keep going. So I've added 3 pieces of the sea glass on. 2 of them are on the same level and 1 is on a level below, and then I went around a couple more times and I've just added another piece down here. You can keep going to fill in your circle all the way if you want. I like to leave them with a bigger hole. Those are for, you know, the really bad nightmares, but it's totally up to you. So when you've decided where you want to end your dream catcher, you're just going to make sure that you tie a really nice secure knot with the white piece. With your knot tied, you are then going to cut it off and so you don't have a little tail there. So there is the start of my dream catcher, or the finished area of the spider's web, except I didn't cut off my little white tail up here. There we go. Now it is time to add my top hanging piece. So I'm going to take one of the other pieces that I had there, and I'm going to just tie a knot. So I've got the 2 ends together. I'm putting them over my fingers and then going through the hole, and I'm pulling again. Don't pull too tightly or you will break it. And I'm then just, that's my extra sea glass, sliding it underneath and pulling it right through. So there is the top of my thing and how it would hang. And now I'm going to add the feather components on the bottom. So I have 3 pieces of string left, and I can use all 3 feathers or 2 feathers. It is totally up to you. What the feathers do is when there's a slight breeze, or as you breathe, the energy from the good dreams comes back down on you through the feathers. So what you're going to do is take your ribbon and loop it through the first place where you want to have a feather. So I will do my first one right here. And I've got it pulled through. And then I am going to take my bigger bead and I'm going to put that through. And I'm going to take my feather ends and I'm going to push them in to the bead there, and then once I've figured out where I want the length of it to be, I am going to tie my knot onto the end of my ribbon here. And I want to make sure that the knot's big enough that my bead doesn't fall all the way through it. Off my tails. So there is the 1 feather hanging, and now I'm going to go and add my next set of feathers. So there are the 2 hanging ones. In the instructions that I found online, they actually had the 3rd one hanging from the top here. So they had it through this and hanging from the top. I'm going to hang mine just at the bottom again, instead of up here through the top. But if you wanted to do it more like the directions that are in there, you can certainly do it from the top there. They also added a few more of these beads to their design. I'm just using the bigger beads just to keep it a little bit more simple. And again, if you want to use the beads instead of the sea glass inside your dream catcher, you certainly can. And I did include 9 pieces of sea glass, so you can put as many as you would like around the actual web of the dream catcher. So here is my finished dream catcher. You can see the web and my 3 ends with the hanging feathers down here. So that is my dream catcher. I hope that you enjoyed creating your dream catcher and that the instructions were simple enough to follow. Sorry, I made it a little bit confusing there, but the main thing that you need to remember is over, under, through. And next month's theme is hair, so I hope that you are excited to see what is coming for that. And have yourself an absolutely fabulous day.